that time. Yep, time for another great episode of NH Unscripted. And I'm telling you, these boots are made for walking. I am your Nancy Sinatra-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Gong Show-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I got my Nehru jacket on, got my bell-bottom pants with platform shoes. Fire up that incense, turn on the lava lamp, kick back on your waterbed because we get another bun burner for you. Let me see. Yeah, get out your transistor radios. On the AM dial in Concord, you'll find us at 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. Our URL, yeah, we got a URL. Yeah, duh. Where all the cool kids hang out. nhtalkradio.com. That's our URL. Before we get too deep into the subject matter today, I need to thank my sponsor, Lakes Region Fence, up in Guilford. Ooh, baby, it's getting towards the end of the year. If you still need a fence, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Yeah, go out to lrfence.com. There's a button out there. You can get a free estimate. Click that, give your information. Matt will give you a call. He'll walk the property with you. They do commercial. They do dog fences. I think they still do dog fences. Not quite sure. Pickleball courts, sports courts, property lines, commercial stuff. They do it all. High quality material, of course, as always. Matt, we thank you. That's lrfence.com. lrfence.com. Go on out there and, it's time to upgrade your fence. I'm going to leave it right there. In the house with me today for a return visit is Mr. Gary Locke. Hello, sir.
Hello there, Ray.
How are you?
I'm groovy, man.
Yo, I love it. I love it. We are one toke over the line, sweet Jesus. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's I got busy with Sleuth. In June, did that at the Majestic Theater, and that wasn't just a mountain to climb, man. That was K2. I'll tell you, that was
with the production itself, or just the
the lines.
Yeah, oh my God.
65%. I mean, it's a 2.5 hour long play. I had like 65% of all the lines, and after the show, people would come up and say, I don't know how you learned all those lines. And I said, well, I haven't really. I'm getting there.
That's why we don't hand out scripts as they come in the door.
Man.
A lot of heavy lifting in that one, huh?
Yeah, it was really something. There were only two of us.
Pretty popular. Yeah.
And the director had us playing darts.
What?
On stage. So
Hard had to learn.
I got to learn all these lines, and I have to be good at darts at the same time. I
hope you got hazard pay.
And the audience, the audience was what I was worried about because who knows?
Yeah, they're right there too. They're on top of you.
And they cared more about the darts than they did the plot. I can tell you that.
I am shocked. Did it go well though?
Oh yeah.
They get a huge audience down there. People just.
They did very, very well.
Yeah, that's the Majestic.
Right? The problem with it was that it was like 4 performances over one weekend, and it was over before I knew it.
Yeah. Are you someone who likes multiple weekends?
Oh yeah,
you do.
Oh yeah, for a lot of reasons. I mean, for one thing, you can just sit back and think about the performances that you just did, and think about this worked and that didn't work, and how to try this.
Yeah.
No such luck.
That's interesting. I don't think most people kind of understand that. After it marinates in your mind for a while, and after you've put it up, so you go through this initial rush where you want to get the show up and going. And so you have this like template that you kind of stick on the stage and you go through it all. And then after that weekend, that first weekend, you can sit there, and even sometimes after the show's closed, you're like, oh, you know what? I should have said it this way. Or had I done something else that would have changed a little bit? Because your mind now is free to think about how to do it right.
Well, I never told anybody this, But the ending of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf,
Yeah.
the very last performance, I looked at it and I went, "Oh, why didn't I do that?" Oh,
I am
and
not
and it
telling
killed me.
Alex and
Killed
Wayne.
me. No, it was maybe a minor thing, but the staging of it would have been so much better.
Isn't that funny, huh?
Yeah.
The mind is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
I did a podcast, an episode a few weeks ago. I was talking to a group of 2 doctors down in Manchester because I'm concerned about the mind. We live by our minds. And obviously, as we get older, our lifestyles have an impact on how we can remember and how much we can remember and how hard it is to remember. Yeah. And it's funny how you just don't think. And even when you're not hampered by some kind of Alzheimer's or something, there are things that like that where all of a sudden you're like, oh, why didn't I see that before?
Yeah.
And you almost have to step outside the box in theater to kind of take a look at it.
Well, and of course that's what makes theater. It's a living thing.
Yes.
It's never the same twice
Ever.
because it can't be.
Ever.
It's live.
Yeah. It's never the same.
Right.
I mean, people can go and say, I saw that show 15 times, but they didn't see the same show 15 times.
Right.
I mean, they basically saw a template of a show, but it always changes. Someone coughs at a different time or walks on stage late, or it always...
Patrick Stewart tells a story of when he was doing Othello, and he had done it, I don't know, hundreds of times, and a particularly long run. And then one night, he looks back. This is after he has supposedly killed Desdemona, and he looks, and the actress, the lighting was just different, and she was posed just a little bit differently because she had fallen a little differently, and it got to him, and all of a sudden he wept on stage. He said, "I'd never done that before," that just because it put him in a different place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird how that happened.
It's absolutely weird. And it really is why I do love live theater. Yeah. Because especially if, as an actor, you're in control. You really are. You control the momentum. You're controlling the audience for the most part. Their emotions, right? Because of the way you emote or whatever yourself. And we all know. No 2 audiences are the same.
No.
A Friday audience is absolutely can be 180 degrees from a Saturday night audience, and a matinee audience, mother of God.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
That just gives me aneurysms. Matinees are not something I look forward to. And so that kind of gets us around to why you're here today.
Right.
We're going to be talking again about the Hatbox.
Right.
For people who are not aware of why we would be talking about the Hatbox, could you kind of give us an early review of, why the Hatbox, it's what it was modeled after, why it was in the Steeplegate, and that kind of stuff?
Right. This will have to be
I'll fill in for you.
Abridged version. But Hatbox Theater is the brainchild of Andrew Pinard, who had always wanted to run his own theater. And it opened at the Steeplegate Mall. He found his idea was to have a space where it was a collaborative spot for producers and directors and artists to come together and work. They would pitch their show. It didn't have to be a show. It could be an improv troupe or
a reading.
Like just a reading. And it would be judged by a group of people who were trying to put together an entire season. And if it fit together into the season and it seemed right, then you were given the go-ahead to work on it. And you had that buffer, that training mat underneath you,
well put.
which was which was the Hatbox staff, production staff, and we loved it. We loved
Hang on. Putting a tack right in that, baby, right there. We're going to come back in a second. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Yes, you are, lucky listener. I am your happy to be out of bed host, Ray Dudley. And on your transistor radios, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Kankakee, 101.9 FM in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. There's a button out there, by the way, where you can listen live. A little bit more on that later. Gary Locke is in the house, and we are talking Hatbox Theater. We'll be right back. I shouldn't drink. All right. After having been properly chastised, you are listening to NH Unscripted. We are your sweet cherry wine. I am your Tommy James-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you, obviously, from the YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I can smell the pool chlorine from here. Gary Locke is in the house, and we are talking about the Hatbox Theater, which used to be housed in the Steeplegate Mall. Sir, we were interrupted by a break.
Right. So Hatbox was an intimate 100-seat theater that performed over 1,100 performances at Steeplegate.
Crazy number.
In that time. There were an average of 18 to 20 productions a year, plus those extras that we were talking about, like the readings and the improv and so on. We had over 36,000 patrons. We won a lot of awards there.
Yeah.
And people loved the space.
They did.
Steeplegate sold, and we were kicked out. And we want people to know that we're still around, just not in the form that we once were. So I'll give you my story, which is that in July of 2023, I was directing a show at Hatbox, and I announced to Andrew, hey, I'm retired now. So if there's other stuff that needs to be done here that you need, I'm your guy. Whoa, be careful what you wish for, man. So I get a call. I mean, I drove home. I don't think my engine even cooled yet before the phone rang. And, hey, Gary, we're needing a little extra help with publicity. Would you be able to do that? Sure, fine, no problem. I can do that. A few months later, hey, Gary, we're looking to expand the board of directors for Hatbox Theater Association. Would you join? And you can be like the liaison between Andrew and the board. I said, well, that's fine. I talk to Andrew all the time. And by talk, of course, I mean that he talks and I interject with a guttural sound here and there.
My lips are sealed. You are not pulling me into that.
And then good news, we became a nonprofit organization. So we were independent now, finally, and Andrew could go off and do his own thing because he was running it as an LLC. And Gary, guess what? Now that the board has mission accomplished, so to speak, we're all leaving. So we would like you to be the president of the organization. And so here's our problem. We have a 5-member board to do the work of about 30 people. Okay? And one of them, our treasurer, lives in Southern California.
What?
Now, he moved recently. So all of these things that we need to do, we can't do. But those things include looking for another venue, trying to keep productions going. We need to keep ourselves visible so that we let people know that we're around. And
that's
we're
a task in
understaffed.
itself, I'll be honest with you, because there are a lot of people who really do not know it still exists in any form.
Right. So we are at we are having productions. We finished our ninth season. We were able to do some productions in Manchester.
I thought you were going to say Kimball Jenkins.
Well, we're going. This is where we are now. Is Kimball Jenkins?
Okay.
So, with the understanding that we may yet still do a couple of shows, there's great interest in it in Manchester. So we're kind of gypsies right now.
Yeah.
Kimball Jenkins, unfortunately, is not suited for the sorts of productions that we did so well at Hatbox. And they're busy, they're booked a lot. We have Wednesday nights that we can do various shows. Andrew has his Discovering Magic, for example, and there's the puppet show Skip, I think it is. Oh, please, I'm so sorry, I don't have that right in front of me.
It's okay.
But
it's not a theater, right?
It is
They
and it
have a
isn't.
theater?
It's no. They have a space.
Okay, yeah.
And we're going to try to. We've got plans for other things like staged readings, and we have there's a production coming up in the middle of November by Lend Me a Theater. They're going to be doing a show there
At Kimball.
at Kimball.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a dessert murder mystery. So
Yes,
instead of
yeah.
having dinner, it's dessert and it'll be a murder mystery weekend kind of thing. And we're going to do one of the shows that was planned but had to get canceled from last season, a show called An Evening Wasted with Tom Lehrer. You remember Tom Lehrer?
The PBS, wasn't he?
No, that was Jim Lehrer.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
His long-lost cousin.
Tom Lehrer was a satirist. He used to sit at his piano and sing highly satirical songs in the
Like
60s
Garrison
and
Keillor?
70s.
That kind of thing?
Similar
okay.
idea. He did great stuff, great songs, and he made all of his songs part of public domain. So we don't have to pay royalties for this, which
That's
is
a
great.
win.
And all we need is a piano, a guy to sing, and I'm going to do a few other things with it. But it's, that's going to be a fun evening. But that'll be end of March, beginning of April. So limited productions.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still alive, And then next summer, maybe those shows in Manchester, maybe some new shows in Manchester. We've talked about renting the Audi for a show for one weekend. So we're there. We're alive. We want people to know that, and we want people to know that we need them.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, those 36,000 people who came and saw shows at Hatbox. We want them to come and see us and help us. Now that we're a nonprofit, that means that tax deductible contributions to Hatbox Theater Association would be much appreciated right now. We need as much as $150,000 to $180,000 to get ourselves back running. Find the venue, make it work. Make sure that we can survive for a few months before before the shows are even open.
Sure.
But we are determined to do that.
Can I back you up just a little? This past Wednesday, there was a meeting.
Yeah.
But before that, there was another meeting, like a few
Right.
weeks before that.
Right.
So tell me about those. Who showed up? If you don't, how many people? Was it well attended?
On the 2 nights, I think we had maybe 35 people.
Okay.
Of the 2
Okay.
nights, and there was robust discussion both nights. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
A lot of it extremely supportive. A lot of it was extremely supportive of the Kimball Jenkins space. We had to make people understand that because Kimball Jenkins is so busy with it, you can't put up a staging, the lights and all of that, and then have to take it down again that night in order to, and then put it back up again the next day. You can't do that.
Yeah. Really? I'm right there. Hang on, Sloopy.
I'm just talking too much.
You sucked me right in, you devil. You are listening to NH Unscripted on your transistor radios, I hope. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM in Manchester. NH.radio.com is our URL. Gary Locke is in the house, and we're talking the Hatbox, and we got a lot of stuff to cover yet. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. We are all incense and peppermints. I am your strawberry alarm clock-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Hollywood Squares-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord, where I sit firmly ensconced in the center square, just like my buddy Paul Lim. Hopefully you're listening to us on 1450 AM or 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester, and htalkradio.com. That's our URL where all the cool kids are hanging out. And speaking of cool kids, we're talking Hatbox Theater here. Gary, I know little about Kimball Jenkins. What kind of... Is it even a theater? How many people would it seat? And obviously,
it is not a theater.
Okay.
It's a venue. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. They like, for instance, that's where the Rotary meets every week.
Okay.
They have parties. You'll find anniversary parties and not weddings so much, but certainly those kinds of celebrations anyway.
Yeah. So let's get into really, what does the Hatbox need? Where
Right.
Obviously they need a facility,
Right,
to start with. So let's begin with that.
Yeah. Well, I want to say very clearly that we expect to, and we are determined, that is to say the board, to make that magic happen again. Okay?
Yeah.
We're going to have a theater. We're going to have those pitch nights. We're going to have the same type of model that Hatbox adapted from the Players' Ring, which was, I think, probably the first place that was a communal theater space.
Mm-hmm.
We had a space of about, I want to say, 4,500 square feet was the theater, and then we had another 2,500 square feet for rehearsal space and for building sets and storage, that sort of thing. So although we're certainly going to be flexible. We don't expect to check off every box,
Yeah.
But I would think that's minimum, and we'd like about 9,500 square feet, something like that. That would make us happy.
Yeah. So have you guys fleshed out any there? Have you had any offers? And are you anchored to one area? Like, is Concord now out of the picture? You mentioned Manchester several times.
Well, so here's the thing. Would we like to be in Concord? Yes. Did we find a space in Concord that we absolutely loved, although it needed certainly a lot of work? Yes, we did. And it is still available. We had one very painful night with a board meeting in which we came to the conclusion that we had to tell the people who owned that space that we weren't ready. We can't do anything.
You backed out at one point?
Well, we didn't. We didn't. There wasn't even an offer.
Okay.
On the stage,
Okay.
they told us roughly what they needed, and said, but it's negotiable. And we said we're not even in a place to negotiate right now.
It's too early in the game.
It was too early in the game. Still is. We just don't have it. We don't have the money. We don't have the personnel.
Yeah.
But if it's still available, when we are ready, man, we'll pounce. We'll go there.
So, I'm sure there are people scratching their heads thinking, aren't there grants available to help you out?
Right. But there aren't enough people on our board who can make all of this happen. And when I say we need board members, for the most part, one of the things that we absolutely need, I said we're a 5-person board trying to do 30 people's worth of work, and only 4 of them are even in the state right now. Even if we just had somebody who could go to an event like a Rotary and say, hey, we're out here, we're still here, hand out some flyers, press the flesh, talk us up, let people know about the shows that we've got coming up, and that we'd like artists to say, hey, I've got a show I could do that could be done in a very, very tiny space, understanding all of the constraints. And I just need people to say, hey, I loved that old hat box, and I want to help out, and I'm more than happy to go to a meeting, go to any kind of a citywide meeting where maybe something will come up for us, because we can't do it all ourselves.
Aren't there grant writers out there? I mean,
there are, and we need to find them.
Right. Yes, Ray, idiot.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We're going to be. I spent time last night with somebody, and we're planning a social media blitz. We're going to make ourselves known in a lot of different social media outlets, not just Facebook, but everything from TikTok to Instagram and beyond, Threads.
So this is a tough balancing act, because if you put out too much information without a home, then it's obviously going to die off, because there are people who would be interested in doing something like now or very soon, but you don't have any place to put them, and you don't have any money to get a place to put them.
Right.
So this is a very tough circle.
The more we make people aware that we're here and we're working on this, the more people will at least keep us in their heads and hearts.
Are you getting any support from the other big organizations? I'm thinking like the Bank of New Hampshire stage, the CCA, you mentioned the Audi, but aren't there people who can offer you some? Don't they know what's happening? And
Well, again, this is why I'm here, man. It's why I'm here. I want that. I want us to remain visible, and I want people to talk, and I want people to contact me or you, and then they can contact you. Can contact me that way, or hatboxnh.com, and you can leave messages there.
Yeah. So what comes first, the money or the property? I mean,
it's got to be the money, man.
Yeah.
It's got to be the money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also the productions. It's theater is first and foremost an act. It's what we do.
Right.
Then it's a place.
Yeah.
Before there were buildings to put actors in, actors they were the gypsies. They went from on their carts from one town to another and put up a show. And
in a way, we still are.
Yes.
We're always hunting going from venue to venue. There's folks who would perform at the Hatbox and then take it over to the Players' Ring.
That's right.
And then somewhere down south. I mean, it happened. Lend Me a Theater is a good example.
Yes.
Of a group that's very, very mobile.
Well, it's in their name. Man.
Good point. I should have thought of that. So you have this meeting. What are there other like other original things? Were there many like novel ideas that came up, or was it all just we got to go out and find a building and that's it? I mean, it would seem like
there were some wonderful suggestions. Of things. We might find a church basement, where they wouldn't charge us anything, and there might be a theater in there. They exist. But are we going to be constrained? Artists are a little funny that way, and we have material that might not be appropriate or under the eyes of in the eyes of some institutions.
Yeah. My goodness, 3 down. Wow, dude, the time is flying. Hang on to that one. Boy, we did a cliffhanger right there. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I'm your host, Ray Dudley. I got the bunny slippers on today. We are coming to you 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. We love you folks. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. Gary Locke is in the house. We're trying to boost the Hatbox. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted, where we say, Brandy, you're a fine girl. I am your looking glass-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the fantasy island-like digs of the WKXL studios. Deep in. Yeah, that never goes over well. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord. 101.9 FM for the souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. You can go out there, find archives of this tremendous show, plus all of the other great programming here. Yeah, and I know it's not as great as this one, but we still got them. And you can find them out there as well. And there, like I said before, there's a button out there you can listen live. Click it once in a while. This show comes to you every Wednesday and Friday mornings. Circle it right now on your calendars. Every Wednesday and Friday mornings, 9 a.m. Gary Locke is talking about Hatbox Theater. And are there places in Concord that, boy, I missed like the Anna Carrico Theater, and it really is. Every time I drive by the Steeplegate, it's still sitting there.
It's still there, yes.
It aggravates me.
We could have finished
It aggravates
season
me.
9, no problem. Yeah. We really could have.
You must sit there in the parking lot and weep.
Oh, I don't go anywhere near it anymore. Because I would.
Yeah. So, do you have other certain? I know you said you're willing to compromise, but are there certain things that you would like to have? Are there like things that are non-negotiable?
No, there's
Maybe
nothing.
I don't want to
that,
put them that way.
There's nothing like that. But would we like a third bathroom? That would be awesome.
I only know of one for like years. I didn't even know there were two.
we'd like a green room for the actors, And oh man, do we ever want to have rehearsal space and not have to go hunting for it, you know? Oh man, that was just, and I did a lot of that. Did a lot of that in Portsmouth as well as in Concord because you have to do it. But so that's a big thing.
Yeah. So, are there places in Concord that you're looking at? I mean, do you want it to say, first of all, small, like 100, or do you not care about that either?
I think we definitely want that intimacy still. So 100, 120 seats is probably that's max.
Yeah.
It really is. And with the caveat that we can move the seats around. You'll remember that there were different seating arrangements depending upon the director. I moved the seats around a lot, and others have done it as well. So that's important.
Yeah, that configurability of
Right.
Right. Yeah, that worked actually. That was brilliant too. I mean, I don't know if that was by happenstance or whatever, but the ability to like cut off one area and reuse it for stage space, or obviously you limit the seating.
That was all part of Andrew's planning, man.
Man, that was so good, so good. God, I love the Hat Box. Have you scoped out? Are there any places that are on like the back burner in Concord that you?
There is that one that I was mentioning, and not only is that still available, but it's in with some other spaces. And now even more spaces in that place have become available. So there is, there are empty spaces.
I know.
We got to have some money and we got to have some productions in order to have the money. And here we are.
Folks, we need money. Come on.
Yeah. And we call
have to be lovers of the arts, right?
Okay,
yeah.
So yes, lovers of the arts, we know they are there.
I know.
We know they are. But look, if people will just simply, more than anything else, talk us up, talk about it. When you are chatting with some friends and somebody says, "Oh man, I can't," I've got this space that I invested in years ago and it's been empty for years, and just listen and you think to yourself, I know a place that could use that.
I heard two old guys talking about that the other day.
And they were, even though they were on the radio, we could tell they were both handsome.
Checks in the mail, baby. So about that, you said that you're obviously still alive. Are there upcoming shows that you guys are producing?
So
how does that work?
That's because they are they don't require much, So the puppetry and Andrew's magic show, Discovering Magic, they don't require a great deal. The readings don't require a great deal.
Yeah.
Certainly that Tom Lehrer show doesn't require a great deal. And there's more of that. I floated the idea the other night of doing Waiting for Godot. The only problem is, if we're only going to do one performance, you try learning all those lines for one performance,
One show.
Yeah.
So that is a limiting factor. Another limiting factor. Over there,
it doesn't have to be just one show, but then the costs are going to get up there, because we're taking space away from them that they could use for other things. Have to understand their perspective as well.
Yeah. Have you talked to anybody who does grant writing? I mean, Kapow gets them all the time.
Well, so Andrew calls me up. I've forgotten when this was. April or May, I can't remember. And Andrew calls me up and said, "What are you doing this week?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know, Andrew. You tell me. What am I doing this week?" And he said, "Well, we're going to write a grant." And I said, "Oh, I don't know anything about writing a grant." "Oh, it's easy." "Oh, yeah." Well, that was the last I saw of my wife for a week. Let me tell you. But anyway.
Well, aren't there groups like Fiverr that you can hire to do grant writing? I'm not.
You got to be able to afford them, man.
Dude, oh my God.
You see the point.
This is very circuitous, is it not? This is the snake eating its own tail here.
That's exactly right.
So this, are there shows coming up in Manchester that you guys, do you have any facilities anywhere that you can at least temporarily put shows up?
There are people. We could do like a weekend someplace. We could do a couple of weeks certainly in the summer. I think Manchester Community Theater is suggesting 3 different shows, 2 weekends each next summer. So we're interested. We haven't. It's all very much in the discussion stage right now, but I think that will happen.
Yeah.
Or some variation of it. So we will do some bigger shows. I was mentioning the other day as a director, I would love to propose a show, but I don't know where it's going to be performed.
Wait, who would you propose it to?
Well, you propose it to us. You talk to the Hatbox Theater Association and say, "Hey, I've got a show. I think it's perfect for it." But you have to understand the limitations. And as I say, I'm not going to commit myself to direct and produce a show where I don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, you can't really, even theater in the park is kind of a. Don't get me started on that, but
I've done it.
Yeah, they do it out in Portsmouth all the time. I know that for a fact.
Yes, they
do. So the problem is, one of the problems is the format, right? Because it used to be, like you had said, pitch night.
Right.
And then there's the selections, and then there's this whole, you begin the season.
Right.
And it rotates very, very quickly.
And we are going to do that again. When we are on our feet, when we are ready, when we have a venue, we are going to do that again. It works. It works very, very well.
People loved it.
And I can tell you from personal experience, 15 years at the Players Ring and 8 years at Hatbox, let me tell you, man, it is the best thing in the world because you can take a chance and you have that mattress underneath you, that support system. And we provide that. That's one of the things that production crews need to know. We provide a certain amount of aid to productions, everything from box office to publicity to cleaning the bathrooms.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't quite understand how important that is for groups. I want to say especially for new groups, but that's not quite true. Really?
We can talk, can't we?
Oh man! Guess we have to exit stage left. Moving all the way. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. I cannot believe I am your dumbfounded host, Ray Dudley. Yeah, coming to you from the Green Acres like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Gary Locke is in here. I hate to say hat and ham, but hat and ham, baby. Hatbox needs some help.
Go to hatboxnh.com for more information.
There you have it. See you next time.